Have you ever stopped to ponder the origins of the land that is now known as Palestine and Israel? This land, a cradle of civilization, has a rich tapestry of history that stretches back to the dawn of time. This story begins with the Canaanites, an ancient civilization that established itself around the 3rd millennium BC. Known for their mastery in trade and agriculture, the Canaanites were the first to shape the land, leaving an indelible mark on its cultural and societal fabric. As the centuries rolled on, a new group emerged, the Israelites. These tribes, believed to have descended from an exodus out of Egypt, established their kingdom in the region. The religious narratives and laws they developed during this era would later form the bedrock of the Judeo-Christian tradition. Their legacy is still palpable today, ingrained in the very soil of this storied land. However, the land's strategic location, straddling the crossroads of Africa, Asia, and Europe, made it a coveted prize for emerging empires. The Roman era marked a significant turning point. The Romans, in their quest for expansion, seized control, leaving a profound impact on the region's demographic and cultural landscape. The land saw the birth of Christianity under Roman rule, further enriching its religious significance. But the narrative of this land is not just a tale of empires and civilizations. It is also a tale of people who lived, loved, and left their footprints on the sands of time. It is a tale of human resilience, of cultures intertwining, of the birth and death of kingdoms. It is a tale that bears witness to humanity's quest for identity, for belonging, for home. This land, the birthplace of prophets and the resting place of kings, has seen the rise and fall of empires. It has borne witness to human triumphs and tragedies, to the ebb and flow of civilizations. Its soil is steeped in history, in stories that echo through the ages. Thus began the complex history of a land that would become the center of global attention for millennia to come. As the centuries rolled by, the land saw the rise and fall of empires, but how did it transform into the nations we know today as Palestine and Israel? As we delve deeper into history, we find ourselves in the tumultuous era of the World Wars. The repercussions of these global conflicts echoed loudly in the Middle East, particularly in the land we now recognize as Palestine and Israel. The Balfour Declaration of 1917 is a crucial piece of this intricate puzzle. Issued by the British government, the declaration expressed support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. This, coupled with the British Mandate of Palestine, set the stage for significant demographic shifts. The early 20th century saw an influx of Jews fleeing persecution in Europe. This immigration was met with a gamut of reactions from the indigenous Arab population, ranging from uneasy acceptance to outright resistance. The tension between the communities simmered, occasionally boiling over into bouts of violence. In the aftermath of the Second World War and the horrors of the Holocaust, the plight of Jewish refugees gained international attention. The United Nations proposed a partition plan in 1947, dividing the land into separate Jewish and Arab states, with Jerusalem under international administration. Despite the vehement opposition from Arab nations, the plan was approved. On May 14, 1948, the State of Israel was officially declared, marking the birth of a new nation. However, the celebrations were short-lived, as neighboring Arab states promptly declared war, refusing to accept the partition. In the crucible of conflict, another nation was also taking shape. The Palestinians, who had long called this land home, found themselves embroiled in a struggle for national identity and self-determination. Their story is one of resilience and resistance, a narrative that continues to unfold today. And so, in the ashes of war, two nations were born, their fates inexorably intertwined. Their birth was steeped in controversy and conflict, a legacy that still echoes in the ongoing struggle for peace and coexistence. As we journey further into this complex history, we'll delve into the cycles of conflict and displacement that have shaped these nations and their people. But what led to the decades-long conflict that has defined the relationship between Israel and Palestine? Often it's said that the heart of the matter is a struggle for land. After the establishment of Israel in 1948, the Arab-Israeli Wars erupted, a series of conflicts sparked by territorial disputes. The first of these wars led to a significant displacement of Palestinian Arabs, creating a refugee crisis that persists to this day. The Arab nations, rejecting the partition of Palestine, launched an attack against Israel. Despite their numerical superiority, the Arab countries were defeated, leading to significant territorial gains for Israel. This war, characterized by loss and displacement, set the stage for the bitter rivalry to come. Fast forward to 1967 and we find ourselves in the midst of the Six-Day War. A conflict so brief, yet its impact was seismic. In just 6 days, Israel managed to seize control of the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, the Sinai Peninsula, and the Golan Heights. This territorial expansion intensified the conflict, deepening the sense of injustice among Palestinians and hardening the resolve of both sides. Now let's talk about Israeli settlements. These are residential areas built by Israel in territories it occupied during the Six-Day War. For Israelis, these settlements provide security and fulfill a religious and historical connection to the land. However, for Palestinians and much of the international community, they're seen as a violation of international law and an obstacle to peace. The settlements, by fragmenting Palestinian territories, have made the vision of a contiguous and viable Palestinian state increasingly difficult to achieve. The tale of Palestine and Israel is a tale of two narratives, two histories intertwined and overlaid upon each other. It's a tale of national aspirations realized for one people and national aspirations denied for another. The land, once a cradle of civilization, now seemed to be a cradle of conflict. Despite the decades of conflict, the hope for peace has always been alive. But how close or far are we from achieving this elusive goal? To understand this, we must delve into the peace process that has been unfolding over the years. The first significant stride towards peace was the Camp David Accords in the late 70s. The Accords were a pivotal moment, marking the first ever peace treaty between Israel and an Arab state, Egypt. This breakthrough agreement, however, did not directly address the Palestinian issue, leaving the fundamental problem unresolved. Nearly 15 years later, the early 90s ushered in the Oslo Accords. These negotiations marked a historic moment where Palestinians and Israelis sat at the same table, agreeing to mutually recognize each other. The Accords promised a phased withdrawal of Israeli forces from parts of the West Bank and Gaza, and the establishment of a Palestinian interim self-government. But the Accords' grand vision was never fully realized. The partial implementation, coupled with the assassination of Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, derailed the process. The dawn of the new millennium brought the roadmap for peace, a plan proposed by the United States, Russia, the European Union, and the United Nations. This plan envisaged a two-state solution with an independent Palestine living side by side with Israel. Yet the roadmap too hit a dead end, with both sides blaming the other for non-compliance. So why have these agreements not led to lasting peace? The reasons are complex and multifaceted. They range from deep-seated historical grievances, mutual distrust, and the issue of Israeli settlements to the status of Jerusalem and the right of return for Palestinian refugees. These thorny issues have repeatedly stalled peace negotiations. The road to peace is fraught with challenges, but the hope for a peaceful resolution remains. The quest for peace is not a lost cause. It's a difficult journey, yes, but one that must be undertaken with relentless perseverance, for the sake of all those who call this land their home. In the face of a turbulent past and an uncertain present, what does the future hold for Palestine and Israel? To understand the present, we must acknowledge the complexities of the ongoing situation. Jerusalem, a city sacred to three major religions, remains a point of contention. Israel's claim over the entire city is not internationally recognized, and the Palestinians envision East Jerusalem as the capital of their future state. The Israeli settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, considered illegal under international law, continue to be a significant obstacle to peace. These settlements, home to hundreds of thousands of Israelis, deeply entrench the Israeli presence in the territories Palestinians seek for their state. The political dynamics on both sides are equally complicated. Israeli politics has seen a shift to the right, with a steadfast commitment to settlement expansion. Palestinian leadership, on the other hand, is divided between Fatah in the West Bank and Hamas in Gaza, further complicating the pursuit of a unified strategy for statehood. The future, while seemingly murky, is not without hope. Possible scenarios range from the establishment of a sovereign Palestinian state alongside Israel to a single binational state solution. The path to either outcome is fraught with challenges, yet the importance of continued dialogue and negotiation cannot be overstated. The international community has a role to play in encouraging peaceful dialogue and upholding international law. The road to peace is not easy, but it is one that must be traversed with patience, understanding, and a relentless commitment to justice. The history of Palestine and Israel is a tapestry of triumph, tragedy, hope, and despair. As we look to the future, it is our collective responsibility to strive for a peaceful resolution for the sake of those who call this ancient land their home.